Microsoft showed 60 games on stage at E3 2019, 14 of them from the brand new Xbox Game Studios, and even revealed the specs for the upcoming next generation Project Scarlett console. Microsoft showed the gaming world that gaming is for everyone, with their most diverse lineup of games ever, and plans to bring the Xbox experience to everyone. 3 key strategies will bring Xbox to the forefront of gaming like never before. But one thing was missing, and that was part of the strategy to bring Xbox to the top of next generation. This is Colt Eastwood. Thanks for sticking around during my long absence. I spent a week in LA for E3 2019, and I have a lot to cover from my talks with key leaders at Xbox and Microsoft. If you stick around at the end of the video, I'll cover what I got from behind the scenes. But for now, we're going to objectively look at the direction of Xbox as the generation ends and a new one begins. So hit the like and subscribe if you appreciate this kind of content, and the bell if you want to return. There's a lot to cover, so let's get right to it. Being the biggest voice present at E3 2019, Microsoft had an incredible opportunity to guide the gaming industry with Xbox announcements. Xbox had a lot to prove as they tripled first-party funding, and Sony's PlayStation tightened messaging and first-party games to close out the PS4. Hardcore fans of the Xbox and even PlayStation came away from E3 feeling let down that Microsoft didn't show a brand new IP for Xbox and held back gameplay on the E3 stage. Microsoft impressed critics and fans with a 3-tier approach to dominate the gaming space. First, the strategy to bring Xbox Game Pass to the masses. E3 around Xbox Plaza in downtown LA was all about Xbox Game Pass on Xbox and PC. Xbox Game Pass was integral to the presentation of most games. Huge games like Obsidian's Outer Worlds, the massive space RPG coming to PC, Xbox, and PS4, will be offered nearly for free to Xbox Game Pass subscribers. It cannot be understated how accessible games can be when they are included with Xbox Game Pass. Microsoft knows this and throws out the time-age tradition to rely on unit sales to gauge the success of a game. Obsidian and Private Division didn't plan on opening the show with their game Outer Worlds, but Microsoft insisted, and before Phil Spencer hit the stage, they wanted games to be the first thing you saw. To further cement the value and the power of Xbox Game Pass, Ori and the Will o' the Wisp was shown, this time in menacing form with towering angry bosses lurking over Ori, and then an emotionally charged, dark and sinister Kate trailer for Gears 5 that pulls the Gears of War series out of the dude bro shoot and chainsaw combat into a sprawling open world with a haunting story of struggle, betrayal mixed with testosterone-driven perspectives, as the game will pick up right where 4 left off. Over the course of the next year until E3 2020, Xbox has a surprise hit on their hands with Ninja Theory's long-developed Bleeding Edge. Bleeding Edge is a multiplayer competitive melee-based team game with outlandish, expertly animated characters. Bleeding Edge combines the perfect combat of Heavenly Sword with the allure of arena team-based games that have delighted millions over the past couple of years. At first leak, Bleeding Edge saw harsh criticism as fans hoped that Ninja Theory's next game would be a story-based, fresh new IP. Instead, what we are getting is a vibrant, slick, fun, and brutally competitive game with high stakes, great production values, and lovable characters brought to life. Another game coming to Xbox Game Pass. Bleeding Edge is coming to Xbox and PC in beta on June 27th. Battletoads is the last game promised for Xbox and Game Pass in the coming year. Talking to the developer lead and animators, they are proud of this Saturday morning cartoon version of Battletoads that plays much like TMNT Arcade and Streets of Rage, with mix and match levels to keep up the challenging gameplay. But fans were hoping and demanding a new mature game on Xbox. And the Blair Witch project had audiences surprised with a first-person horror cinematics from the team that brought us the creepy Observer that really nailed the feeling of being in the shoes of a Blade Runner. Blair Witch is slated to come to Xbox and PC this summer on August 30th. Still not a new IP. Curious if a 20-year-old movie will resonate on the gaming screen. Also not a new IP, but new to consoles and exclusive to Xbox, is Crossfirex, a Chinese Counter-Strike clone that is over 10 years old and looks it, but an Xbox version is coming in an updated form next year. New to most, but still not a new IP. To prove that Xbox Game Studios has games ready for the Xbox One before next generation, they showcased almost 40 new indie games that are coming to Xbox and Xbox Game Pass. Some of them have been long awaited, some look promising, and others look like what you would expect from small teams finding a home and an audience because of Xbox Game Pass. When the show closed and the entire E3 week came to an end, everyone was asking for 2 games from Xbox, a brand new story-driven IP, and long-rumored Fable 4. Xbox Game Studios just came together about a year ago, and most know that a game takes at least 3 years to develop. Unfortunately for Xbox fans that crave exclusives that will never go to a competing console, Xbox Game Studios has a handful of releases nearly ready that will be multi-platform, like Outer Worlds, Wasteland 3, and even the incredible-looking Minecraft Dungeons. This leaves about 4 to 5 studios deep in development of the next big Xbox game exclusive for next generation, solely because of timing. This console generation is coming to a close, and the Xbox One was not a runaway success, except for North America, where it has done incredibly well. We'll get to that in a moment, but as games are readied from these talented studios, Microsoft will have a handful of hot games to sell, an amazing new powerful console in 2020, and we'll get to that in a minute as well. Since this console generation is coming to a close in the next 12 months, Microsoft had 2 options: show their cards early to gain a much needed shot of goodwill with the world watching Xbox, or save the best for last to sell the idea of a new Xbox and a new Xbox console. In hindsight, in my opinion, showing Halo Infinite's world early in 2018, 2 years from release, put Halo in a bad marketing place. Microsoft would benefit more from a tease a year out and gameplay montages and showcases in the months before the Scarlet. This is why Halo Infinite gameplay was not shown at E3 2019. But Gears 5 comes out in 3 months. Why was gameplay of Gears 5 not shown on the stage at the E3 briefing? Microsoft showed gameplay of Horde Escape the very next day in the continuation of E3 at Inside Xbox, showing thousands of people the game being played by attendees in the Xbox Plaza and Mixer Dome after the fact. But why not show a minute of that gameplay after the pre-rendered cinematic at E3? Xbox and the Coalition have plans to unfold each panel of the Gears 5 experience week by week, showing the Horde Escape, versus and competitive modes, and finally, campaign gameplay just before launch. But the competition shows a ton of consecutive gameplay long before launch of their new games. But just as E3 viewers are still complaining about a lack of gameplay shown at the Xbox briefing, developers lamented that showing gameplay at a big conference like E3 does more harm than good for the game. Yes, gamers and critics want to see gameplay over cinematics every single time because they can develop a report of how the games will look and play. In the wake of downgrade hit pieces like Puddlegate, Ubisoft's downgrades, and nitpicking things that are removed along development, developers have felt more comfortable showing gameplay once the game is nearly finished, to deliver the most honest version of the game to paying customers. Yes, gameplay of Halo Infinite exists to be captured, but 343 feels it is too early to show, and they were right. Critics are already picking apart lighting and detail work on the in-engine cutscene meant to be the opening Halo Infinite cinematic. Funny enough, keen eyes that aren't looking for real-time reflections, counting pixels, or NPCs on screen may have missed that Xbox's E3 showcased quite a bit of montaged, edited gameplay intertwined with cinematics to capture the feel of the game and get us excited. Experts are in agreement that showing gameplay sequences, although demanded by starving game fans, has been shown to slow down the show's pacing. Gameplay is shown, and when it's not being played, comes off as boring. This is why many marketing teams are directed to create cinematic views of actual gameplay with jump cuts and timed editing. Gamers want to see gameplay, but even more, they want to play the game. Thankfully, Gears 5, Horde Escape, Battletoads, and Bleeding Edge were playable for E3 attendees, and reports are very positive. xCloud was the next big thing to be communicated for the future of Xbox. Microsoft wanted to talk about xCloud in the briefing and explain what we can do with the program, such as playing all of your own games on a mobile screen or PC for free by using your home console as a server, which leads us to believe that xCloud is a paid service most likely bundled with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. meaning that you'd have access to over 350 games on Xbox and PC on the go, plus full Xbox Live Gold and Game Pass benefits, monthly games, and discounts. xCloud was playable on the show floor with Halo Wars 2, Forza Horizon 4, Gears 4, and Halo 5. The games play just as you would expect on a small 6-inch phone screen and a controller. Microsoft was streaming the game from San Francisco servers to LA with about 60 to 70 milliseconds of latency, requiring just 10 megabits of internet bandwidth. Just like frame rates, many people can discern the difference between 60 to 120 Hz. Even 13 milliseconds of lag can be detected on screens, but latency doesn't affect gameplay until it approaches 75 to 100 milliseconds according to testing. And Google Stadia is currently running with up to 120 milliseconds of latency. xCloud is so well received by players and audiences right now because the latency is consistent. I played Forza Horizon 4, a game I have hundreds of hours into, and after repeated stress tests, I could not see how the game could be hindered by that amount of latency. There are always exceptions. In two parts, some Twitch or timing reliant games may not be ideal on xCloud, or maybe some games you just rather save for the big screen on local hardware. And that's the beauty of xCloud as an option. Xbox's Phil Spencer doesn't see it replacing consoles or PCs in the near future, and Xbox is committed to next generation hardware and the one after that without reservations. The last part of Xbox's future rides on the next piece of hardware in the console that will bring console gaming out of the holding pattern of 30 FPS on many open world AAA games, and that is Xbox Project Scarlett. The next powerful console built on semi-custom Zen 2 processing and Navi graphics architecture to continue to deliver high-quality gaming in the Xbox ecosystem, bringing your games with you and ready to take on the most demanding new games going forward. Two standouts for the Project Scarlett were: one, it sounds a lot like the PS5, and two, where is the rumored second less powerful console? Rumors continue that the PS5 is more powerful than the Xbox Scarlett and that Microsoft canceled the second console to focus on what we have been calling the Anaconda. It's more important to remember that we are nearly 18 months from the next generation console launch, and to keep messaging clear and concise, I believe that Microsoft showcased the most powerful console in Scarlett to show commitment to games play best on Xbox, and save the messaging for a more affordable Xbox Lockhart next spring. There's plenty of time to get the marketing in alignment for a two-console launch in the spring of 2020. Either way, the high-end consoles of the PS5 and the Xbox Anaconda or Scarlett will provide a match for visuals and performance that won't need a mid-generation refresh 3 to 4 years after 2020. Sony did not attend E3 2019 for the express purpose of not wanting to show games launching on PS5. Microsoft did the exact same thing by holding off Halo Infinite gameplay and not showing what their studios are creating to sell consoles for the Xbox Scarlett. The problem that Microsoft has to mitigate is that they only have a couple of exclusive hit games to offer Xbox owners in the final years of the Xbox One generation. Sony has Death Stranding, Ghost of Tsushima, and The Last of Us 2 to close out the PS4 generation. Anything new and exciting that Sony had in their pipeline after 2016 and 2017 is being held for next generation. This is precisely where Xbox and PlayStation have positioned their marketing, to hold the next new big games for the promotion of a brand new console and the motivation to play them on the latest hardware. But for right now, Xbox has about 50 games coming to the Xbox to end the generation. Gears 5 is going to really make Death Stranding earn that Game of the Year award, and with Ori, Halo Infinite, and many more closing out the generation for Xbox, we have a lot to look forward to, and next generation will only get better. This is Colt Eastwood. I didn't want to come back from E3 and try to cover all the news that everyone else did all last week. I went solely as a fan of gaming. I didn't take notes, I didn't record footage or write this video while I was in LA. This is a perspective after waiting a week, taking a step back and looking at the gaming landscape from a bigger picture. Here's the part where I'm going to report on the E3 experience and my time behind the scenes with Xbox and game developers. So if you're not sticking around for a couple minutes, like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Xbox at Twitter and Colt Eastwood. Alright, not many get to go to FanFest for Xbox, and I was fortunate enough to be invited. One of the most amazing things for me was to meet people that I've talked to for years over the internet, on a game chat, or social media. I met people that never saw my face but recognized my voice. Walking around the E3 Coliseum, I met developers like Rod Ferguson of Gears of War, Bonnie Ross of Halo, and Xbox studio lead Matt Booty, and many more, some of which have heard of my work. But even without any of that, being around thousands of passionate gamers that I talked to in line about how excited we were to play the latest games, like two guys that won FanFest tickets from Australia, flew all the way over with barely any money. They had smiles going ear from ear. Being at the Xbox Plaza, walking into the place where the E3 briefing would take place was amazing. For years, I had sat down at home with pen and paper to meticulously watch E3 to create a video afterwards, and this time, I was there in person to watch the games unfold on screen in a pristine, huge LED screen with massive Dolby Atmos, immersive sound, and the energy of the crowd, reacting to the biggest blockbusters, to the most promising small indies lighting up the screen with the most energy. I realized gaming is not just for me. Gaming is for everyone. Microsoft made it very clear that everyone loves games in some form or whatever type of game brings them joy. I learned that us hardcore gamers are in the minority. We still drive the industry as we demand bigger and better games. The Xbox leadership cares about what we want on the platform, and they had to make those tough decisions to hold back some of the most absolutely pinnacle teases for next generation launch next year, because the Xbox brand is more than just the Xbox One, and this is their chance to ramp up something really special that was lacking in recent years. I talked to the leads at working on xCloud. They were making sure everyone got their hands on with xCloud because the new tech brings so much skepticism. I could tell that Xbox truly believes in the streaming service and that we can all enjoy it too. Not once did I feel latency was getting in the way or making me feel disconnected. The lead, Bill Stillwell, talked to me for several minutes like we gamed together for years. He understands how we feel about games, how we might repel streaming on a phone, and how they can work to make that experience feel great, and it really does. I also talked to a couple other leads from Xbox that knew of my work. They asked me about the E3 briefing and what they could have done to better provide the best outlook for the coming year. And I said Halo and Gears gameplay montages and showing that one new game we've all been waiting for. Microsoft missed the mark with gameplay, showing Gears the following day. That needed to be on the stage, and Halo needed to be held one more year according to them. A lot of criticism was voiced for all of the indies. The hardcore believed that it should be minimized or saved for Inside Xbox. But gaming is bigger than the 10 to 20% of hardcores, and those games are a big draw for millions of gamers. Microsoft wanted to show as many games on stage as possible with very little talking head moments. And they did that well, but the pacing was slowed down with a large ID at Xbox section. But we shouldn't gatekeep games because we're not interested in them. But in marketing, you have to plan out your long-term strategy, and this is exactly why Sony risked it and skipped E3 to save millions of dollars that would have been spent to showcase games they've been talking about since 2016. The E3 convention next door to Xbox ran all week, as did the Xbox showing, as tens of thousands poured into their doors. Without PlayStation, the showing was still sold out, lines were long. I didn't even bother to wait in line for the biggest games, but tried out things like Biomutant, Destroy All Humans. At the Xbox Plaza, I tried Bleeding Edge first. Bleeding Edge was colorful, bright, slick, and tight gameplay. There were 10 characters to choose from, and they were hilariously cool and fun to use. The Ninja Theory team was amazingly passionate and proud to show off their work. Gears 5 Horde was great and already looks like it'll be one of the year's best looking games. One night, I was fortunate enough to meet Xbox hardware people for drinks, well, Cherry Coke in my case, and talk to fellow content creators and Xbox fans from Twitter and Xbox Live in person, which is something I never thought I would get to experience. Even meeting a friend I've talked to for several years on Xbox, sitting down in person for a couple hours, feeling like we grew up in school together. Next year, I'm already hoping I get to attend E3 and FanFest to meet more of you. I'm already planning the itinerary for Dealer Gaming to go because next year is going to be even more incredible with new games, next generation hardware, and the full roadmap for what PlayStation, Nintendo, and Xbox have for us for the years to come. The opportunity to meet with people that create the games we enjoy every day. Meeting the fans of gaming that love gaming as much as we do, it's truly a gamer's Christmas. I am fortunate that I was able to go, that my channel has grown enough to warrant it, so for the next 12 months, I'll work hard to create content that you can all enjoy and share with your friends. I appreciate all of you so much for all you've done to support what I do. I also want to give a special thanks to Ainsley and Bert of Season Gaming. They run a podcast and report on tons of games. Go subscribe to their channel. They became great friends and showed me around the entire downtown area of E3, and we met some absolute legends in the gaming industry. This was a phenomenal opportunity, and I wanted to share it with those of you that stuck around long enough in the video to hear it. I usually don't put a lot of my own personal feelings or opinions into my videos. I leave that up to the audience once I present the information, but I absolutely enjoyed the Xbox briefing. It was only after the show closed and that we got up from our seats that it occurred to me that Fable 4 or some new game didn't make the show. Those that turn to social media like Twitter realized the hardcore, that 10%, sometimes the negative, angry 2%, were swaying their reception to the show. I know what Microsoft needed to do to deliver a better or a perfect show. I even predicted it in my last video. It was then I realized, meeting Albert Pinello, as he said, we are a customer, not the customer. The show was for everybody. The indies and some of the anime style games aren't for me, but rows of people in front of me rocketed from their seats when those games hit the screen. Xbox needs to develop that massively appealing blockbuster game, and I believe that the Initiative and Ninja Theory will be the first to wow us with a new world and an experience that will be incredibly memorable on the Xbox. And that is something that will make the Xbox truly the best place to play, more than ever. Thanks again for waiting around this long. I really appreciate it. If you made it this far, it means that you truly support and enjoy this channel, and that means the world to me. To prove it, in the comment section, write Lukather. That comment section will be a bit divisive, so try and be courteous, leave some constructive criticism, and watch out for that bitter 2%. And as always, be nice.